Brown contends, and I quote, if Ilia Topuria beats Artem Tsarukyan, he is approaching Jon Jones' level of greatness already, end quote. All right. That's interesting. I don't want to attack that statement. I want to bring that statement to you, and now I just want to kind of have a conversation, because here's the problem, yet I acknowledge this is the way it works. Okay, here's the problem. When a guy, break this statement down, if he beats Arman Tsarukyan, okay. If Ilia were to beat Arman Tsarukyan, say they were to fight tonight, and frankly, whether they fight tonight, whether they fought on Saturday when Arman was the backup, or they fight 5 months from now, the result will not change, and neither athlete will be any better. Now, it's very important that you meet me on that concept, or I end up stuck in the mud here, okay? It's important that you understand the greats, they're not getting any better. And that is a very literal statement. I do mean that very literally. They will go into training camp and they will get sharp. You hear about this peaking, and that's very real. And you try to return to this greatest shape of my life, and you go out and fight, and you just try to hold it. You try to hold that line. Very, very rare. I mean, really quite literal that the greats don't get any better. Now, why do I say that? Because, to go back to what Matt Brown said, if he beats Arman Tsarukyan, he approaches Jon Jones' level of greatness. But see, where that gets interesting is he won't be any better if he beats Arman Tsarukyan. If he beats Arman Tsarukyan and 3 more athletes, he's not any better than he is now. Which is where it becomes interesting, because if you will concede to that point, you can even say that about Jon Jones. Jon Jones isn't any better now. He was the greatest at 23 when he became the youngest champion of the world. So, but if you understand that Ilia fighting Tsarukyan tonight, that would be absolute proof that he's not any better. Right? If he fought him tonight, there was no training camp, there was no study, there was no strategy, that would be absolute proof. The other way, I can't prove it. If they wait 5 months from now, I can't prove that he didn't sit down with coaches and train and do. I can't prove it. I could prove to you if they were to fight tonight. But my concept is still right, whether I could prove it or not, that if they were to fight 5 months from now. So what's interesting is where we need to be able to come in as analysts to be able to look at something and identify who's the best now. We shouldn't have to see a vast body of work. Now you're talking about resumes. And that a moment ago is when I prefaced you by telling you, I'm aware that that's how it works. It is about resumes. The LeBron-Jordan argument. Jordan had 6 rings and LeBron had none. And then Jordan had 6 rings and LeBron had 2. And then Jordan had 6 rings and LeBron had 3. But the truth is, LeBron's not a better player now. He's not a better player now than back when he was 25 years old. Now that he's 40, he's not better. But his resume is different. He's accomplished more. He's further. And I only bring that to you just more from a philosophical standpoint. I just think that's an interesting conversation. Ilia Topuria needs to beat Arman Tsarukyan to approach Jon Jones' level of status. Well, what is it about Arman that gets him there? And we have someone that beat Arman. That would be Islam. So if what you have to do to be in Jon Jones' stratosphere, which I fully admit is special, very special, then I guess Islam would already be there, considering he beat Artem. And so that's where you start to go, well, it's not really Artem. Well, if it's not really Artem, what is it? Is it the number 1 ranked guy? Because Ilia just beat a champion, and before that he beat a champion, and before that he beat a champion, which trumps number 1 ranked guy. And I'm only looking at that it is a very interesting thing. Who the greatest is will always come down to a resume argument. And if in your criterion for greatest you include longevity, if within your own criterion for greatest ever, you have longevity. But I've never heard any of you say that. Ever. I have never heard you say length or span or number of opponents or months or days or hours with the belt. I've just never heard that brought up. Who is better? Whose skills are better? And surpassing Jon Jones becomes a very hard thing to do because we put such a value on being dynamic. It's one of the things that Conor had, and I've seen so many stats between Conor and Ilia, as though the people that are making the stats really wish that it could just come down to that. But the one thing that those numbers don't show, but the popularity will reflect, is the dynamicness of Conor McGregor. He was a southpaw. That's interesting. He came out in a karate stance talking about he's doing Jeet Kune Do, which is what Straight Blast Gym is known for. And that ties back to Matt Thornton, who ties back directly to Bruce Lee. I mean, not for nothing, like, Conor wasn't just saying these things. He had a style that was really unique. And while Conor wasn't going to run up a fence and kick you in the mouth like Showtime Pettis, he was doing some stuff that we didn't see. Conor had spinning body kicks that really don't get discussed enough. Conor had a spinning wheel kick that he often missed. As a matter of fact, I don't know that he ever landed it, but he offered it. He offered it to the opponent, made the opponent, whoa, I haven't seen that before. With Ilia, we have a highly unusual power with very basic skill. Ilia had a takedown on Saturday night by example. No effort of his own. It was Charles's move. Ilia came on top. But Ilia got a point credit for the takedown. Ilia finished the fight. He set it up with a jab. Nobody talks about the jab, but they do talk about the cross and the hook. Everybody that fought on Saturday did a jab, cross, hook at some point. Everybody, no exception. Males, females, Charles Oliveira himself. Everybody, at some point in their fight Saturday, threw a jab, they threw a cross, they threw a hook. We had this unusual power. And this argument isn't new. It still lasts today with Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali is largely favored because he came first. And we as human beings tend to put the generation that came before us in front of the generation today, even though it's a falsity. We tend to do that. I find myself doing it as well. But Muhammad Ali had an unusual style, all the way down to the shuffle, all the way to the rope-a-dope, all the way to throwing 10 punches at a time or slipping 10 punches at a time. It was highly unusual. Mike's was very basic. Very basic. Jab, cross, keep your hands up, keep your chin down, attack the body. But I think that it's silly. I mean, I go as far as to think it's silly to say that you truly believe Muhammad Ali would beat Mike Tyson. I don't believe that you believe that. Not only is that not accurate, I don't believe that you believe that. I believe that's something you say. So the issue I currently have with Ilia is, does he need a longer resume to be the best? He either is or he isn't. And if you as the analyst need more time to decide, that's a slightly different conversation.